Tonight, an epic face-off from Edmonton, a major moment in the quest to bring the Stanley Cup back to Canada. The fan fever and an economic assist for the city.
We've definitely seen an uptick in sales.
While a hometown hero inspires the next generation.
Let's go!
Stuart Skeer is living his dream, and then he's also showing these other kids that my dream is possible.
New concerns from the NDP leader after seeing the top-secret report on foreign interference.
They are indeed traitors to the country.
Plus, buying in on a driveway renovation to protect cars from thieves.
For our homeowners, it's become peace of mind.
I'm in the middle of 2 tornadoes!
Also, extreme weather and the warnings in multiple provinces. And how the playoff run is helping one family get through a tough time.
Anxieties have always been high since this situation, so this is a very nice distraction.
Cheering on the tiny fan winning his fight off the ice.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina, reporting tonight from Edmonton.
Good evening, everyone. For the first time in 18 years, the Oilers played host to the Stanley Cup Finals. Game 3 was a disappointment for the hometown fans as the Florida Panthers have pushed them to the brink, clawing their way to a 3-0 series lead. The Oilers will have to dig deep, real deep, for a shot at a comeback for the ages. The Oilers scored 2 goals in the third, but lost 4-3. The team giving it everything they had in the final moments of the game. And fans will no doubt be looking to their captain and star Connor McDavid to work his magic in a do-or-die Game 4 on Saturday. Let's take you down to the Ice District behind me where fans have gathered to cheer on the Oilers. CTV's Kent Morrison is down there. And Kent, the Oilers are down, but they are certainly not out, and those fans are holding on.
That's right, Omar. Optimism is basically all they can hang on to at this point. This fan park, as you mentioned behind me, full of thousands of fans all day long, ready for the party of the Stanley Cup Finals, returning to Edmonton for the first time in 18 years. And as loud and as boisterous as those fans were, you can see they're a little disappointed today. They're moving out quickly, and, you know, it's on to another day. You can see they're disappointed, but they're ready for Game 7. A lot of Game 7s that have been chanted at me, so they're ready for that comeback. It has. That's right. It's been since 1942 that the last team to come over a 3-0 deficit. That was the Toronto Maple Leafs, the only team to ever do it. The fans, as they come out here, obviously dejected, but still some optimism. A lot of Game 7 being chanted at me. They're going to need a 1-1 game first, though, and that could come on Saturday night. The Oilers with a big push in the third period. They were down 4-1 going into that third period, scoring twice, inches away from tying things up. Sergei Bobrovsky again seemingly stealing one for the Florida Panthers. The Edmonton Oilers out shooting the Florida Panthers big time again in this one, but Bobrovsky has been in the difference, and until they can get more goals past him, it could be a quick exit. But as we file out here in Edmonton, Omar, optimism is all we can hang on to.
Yeah, they certainly gave it their all, and we'll see what happens on Saturday. Ken, thank you so much for that. Earlier today, fans were treated to a performance by rock band Our Lady Peace. The outdoor concert was the first of 2 big shows in the city, with Shania Twain set to play on Saturday. The city isn't just getting a huge morale boost with the Oilers' playoff run. Many businesses are also feeling the boom. CTV's Kathy Lee joins us now. Kathy, from shopping to dining out, it's clear people are definitely spending.
And they're spending a lot of it, Omar. Moments like what fans are experiencing right now, it's just so rare that some people, you know, are okay with splurging a little bit more on a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And you know what? Businesses are happy about that.
The Oilers
winter's wave has swept through the city, and many are reaping the benefits.
We've definitely seen an uptick in sales. Our tap rooms are pretty busy, so we're full almost every night.
The tap rooms and restaurants, obvious businesses seeing an uptick in sales, but the ripple effect also here.
The panini, like I mentioned, are very, very popular, so they share those kind of things. So just a lot of gathering things, a lot of party trays. We have a take and bake pizza that our team here has been very creative with and have put great numbers on them, like 97 and number 18.
The economic boost seen since the start of the Oilers' playoff run.
The number that we have for the first 3 rounds is $179 million coming into our local economy.
That estimate from out-of-towners staying in hotels, dining, and shopping.
I think people are looking at Edmonton all across North America. People are looking at Edmonton in a way that they've never really looked at Edmonton before. So I don't think it can be overstated how big of an impact this is having on our city.
Behind us is the Oilers store, which has certainly been one of the most popular destinations this week, and it's seen record sales right through the playoffs, but continuing over the last couple of days.
And record sales also for game tickets.
Don't be surprised between now and October when the new season begins if somehow the Oilers sneak in an announcement that says next year's tickets for just the regular season are going to jump 10%, 20%. And if the Oilers win, they could easily jump 50%.
While visitors to Edmonton and locals are spending a lot of money, Moneris, which tracks spending, says there was a big dip in spending at establishments around the arena between Game 1 and Game 2 of the championship series, saying that the Oilers' back-to-back losses most likely did not help, and that a comeback could entice people to open up their wallets again. Omar.
All right, Kathy Lee on the economic impact. Kathy, thank you. Never before has the distance between the cities with teams in the Stanley Cup Final been as great. Edmonton is 4,089 kilometers from Sunrise, Florida, and even if there were nonstop commercial flights between both places, that journey would take about 6 hours. Earlier, I spoke to TSN's James Duffy about the challenges of that trek and what the players are saying about it.
Anytime you have to stop in Kansas City to get fuel for the plane, you know it's a long trip. It was really curious that the Panthers didn't come in until the day before the game, and then they had all the issues because of the weather in Florida, because they haven't been out of their time zone since the middle of March. So you think you'd want to come in and get used to it, but they all have these sports science people who said it was better to recover at home, get ready, and they laughed it off. They said it was no problem getting here and they'll be ready.
Now, you have covered so many of these finals. Hockey is such a galvanizing force in this country. What is it like for you to be here?
There is nothing like a Stanley Cup Final in Canada. And look, I love all Stanley Cup Finals. The American teams have great fan bases, but it's special here. My first one was in Edmonton in 06. I'd never been in a louder building. Vancouver in 11 was crazy, and Ottawa and Montreal. No offense to the Americans, but we bleed hockey here, and you see it in a Stanley Cup Final where an entire city gets entranced by it. And look, these folks in Edmonton have been waiting a long time for this night, and I think you'll hear it in the crowd.
You certainly hear it already. James, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
As James mentioned, weather was an issue for the Panthers, and it's also a challenge for people in parts of this country. Tonight, tornado warnings are in place across parts of southern Ontario and Quebec, with residents being warned of a ferocious storm.
I'm in the middle of 2 tornadoes! Holy!
Several reported tornadoes tore across southern Manitoba yesterday. Winds, hail, and rain pelting the area, forcing a massive cleanup. And about 3 hours south of here in Calgary, work is continuing to repair a rupture in a critical water main. Today, a setback for workers trying to fix it.
2 people were injured on site overnight. Both were taken to hospital, and neither are in critical condition. Crews instituted an immediate safety stop, and work on the pipe has been halted.
The city is once again pleading with residents to conserve water, warning it may not have enough for the essentials like fighting fires. There's a new tool in the fight against car theft, if you can afford it. Not a guard dog or an alarm system, but a simple barrier that's becoming more popular with car owners. CTV's Adrian Gobriel reports.
A rise in car thefts has consumers taking a stand.
They're going to be putting in 3 metal barriers, basically to make sure that in the future, a thief will think twice before stealing any of my vehicles.
These bollards are quite literally popping up across Toronto, with shoppers even finding them for sale inside Costco. What are you hearing from your clients?
Peace of mind.
Canadian car owners could use some. More than 100,000 vehicles were stolen across Canada in 2022. That's about one every 5 minutes.
About a month ago, I had my car stolen.
This is video of a thief entering Larry Lau's Range Rover. Just 45 minutes after he returned home from dinner, the SUV was equipped with a club steering wheel lock. But the criminal made short work of that. The AirTags inside the vehicle were also located and tossed out the window. Now, the luxury SUV was located by police, and that's where this story takes a shocking turn.
Right after that, we put it into a repair facility to get it fixed. And then just this week, the car was actually stolen from the repair yard.
What's going through your head after you learn that?
You know, what's happening in this city? That something like that happens with such frequency.
Enter the Ballard Boys, two young entrepreneurs who are now fielding calls from across North America from people desperate for help.
The only way that the Ballard could go back down is via the security key.
We haven't had any stolen vehicles after an installation.
The price tag about $2,000 a Ballard to combat an illegal billion-dollar industry. Stolen cars from homes across the country are now being located overseas. In February, the RCMP began sharing data internationally. Since then, Interpol has already found more than 1,500 vehicles abroad. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
The federal NDP leader says he's more alarmed now after reading a report that names MPs who may have colluded with foreign countries. That's in stark contrast to the Green Party leader, who also recently weighed in with her appraisal. Here's CTV's Judy Tripp.
Foreign interference. After poring over a top-secret parliamentary report, Jagmeet Singh concluded a small group of traitors are sitting in the House of Commons.
What they're doing is unethical. It is, in some cases, against the law, and it is indeed they are indeed traitors to the country.
After spending 3 hours inside a secure location to read the documents on Tuesday, Elizabeth May came to a much different conclusion.
There is no list of MPs who have shown disloyalty to Canada.
May was only concerned with the case of a former MP who tried to meet a foreign intelligence official overseas. But Singh says other politicians knowingly benefited from interference and should be removed.
I believe we must find a way to let MPs who are named in this report know that we know what they're up to.
The NDP leader says the report also revealed he was a target and contains information about how India meddled in the Conservative leadership race. Singh says it's irresponsible for Pierre Poilievre to refuse to get the security clearance to read it. In a rare show of solidarity, all the parties are working together to pass Bill C-70. The act to counter foreign interference makes it a crime and creates a foreign influence registry.
I declare the motion carried.
The bill passed third reading and now goes to the Senate.
The impact and the risks associated with foreign interference threats have only increased as a result of our inability to implement measures to protect our democracy and our elections.
The bill was tabled only 9 days ago, and unless the Senate sends it back to the House of Commons for changes, it could become law by the end of the month. Omar.
All right, Judy, thanks. Things got out of hand in Italy's parliament today during a vote on a controversial bill giving Italian regions more autonomy from Rome. A brawl broke out after an opposition politician shoved a flag in a cabinet minister's face. Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle joined the fray. One was hurt and taken out in a wheelchair. Coming up.
He was just an amazing young athlete.
The making of a star goalie. Plus, the young Oilers fan giving his family a reason to cheer. Going pro takes talent, hard work, but also people who believe in you. For Oilers goalie Stuart Skinner, who's become a hometown hero, one of those people was Jared Peel, his former high school hockey coach. I spoke with him earlier today, and here's my conversation with him.
the biggest fan cheering the Oilers on tonight.
When Jared Peel set out to recruit Stuart Skinner for his school's athletics program, it wasn't for hockey.
So we had a nice basketball program at our school. We wanted him to come to play basketball at our school.
But soon it was clear Skinner was destined to be a star on the ice.
We saw at a very, very young age that, yeah, he was just an amazing young athlete.
Innate talent coupled with self-confidence, he demonstrated, of all places, in math class.
One of my best friends at Louis St. Laurent, Ty Nasalawa, taught him math. And all of a sudden, Ty's looking over and Stewie's at the back of the class with all the hockey boys. They're writing a math test, and he's done early and just sees him scribbling all over the page. It's like, Stewie, what are you doing? Like, you got lots more time left. He's like, Coach, I'm done. Don't worry about it. And he's like, well, what are you writing on your page? He was practicing his signature. And then he said, hey, Mr. Nasalawa, this will be worth something someday, so better keep this test. But unfortunately, I don't think Mr. Nasalawa kept the test, so I bet you he wishes that he would have done that now.
Because it would have been worth a lot.
Oh my goodness, could you imagine?
Today, student athletes at the same school say that knowing Skinner once played on the same ice as they are now on inspires them.
For any kid in the Edmonton area, like, if he could do it, I feel like anyone can. Like, if you just put your mind to it.
Sharing Skinner's dream.
I'm going to take it a day at a time and, ultimately win the Stanley Cup, which I feel the Oilers can do.
It's also a dream 8-year-old Nathan shares. This is him last Christmas, unboxing his gift.
Let's go!
Santa got a few clues about what to get from Nathan's father, Jarrett.
This is everyone's, ultimate dream. Me as an adult, I look up to Stuart Skinner now because he's influenced my son and these kids in our hockey academy so much.
Encouraging so many younger players. Still ahead, remembering the glory days of the game that binds the country. A look back at the last Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup. Welcome back to Edmonton, where Canada's long Stanley Cup drought continues. It was 31 years ago that the Montreal Canadiens defeated Wayne Gretzky and the LA Kings to win. And here's a quick reminder of what things looked like back then. Prime Minister Brian Mulroney was in his last days in office. Janet Jackson was topping the music charts. And just a few months later, the Toronto Blue Jays won the World Series. It was a truly incredible year for sports fans. CTV's Quebec Bureau Chief Geneviève Beauchemin looks back at what it meant to the country.
Here it is, 31 years ago.
In Montreal, the Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
On a Wednesday in June 1993, Montreal pulled off a championship against the great one, Wayne Gretzky and the LA Kings.
How much was the ticket?
$28.50. That's pretty reasonable.
And those glory days are stamped in the memories of devoted fans like Sunil Pitash. That's him then at just 15 with Canadiens goalie Patrick Roy.
So I didn't realize it would be 31 years after that I would never see a Stanley Cup. There's Gilbert Dion.
Left winger Gilbert Dion's moment hoisting the cup is so telling of how hockey is woven into the DNA of so many Canadian families. His older brother Marcel Dion, an NHL Hall of Famer who had never won the cup, was in the stands.
I looked at it and I said, we did it. Very emotional, got to bring him in the dressing room and let Marcel know that, our last name Dion will be on the cup forever.
The Montreal Canadiens had taken home the cup 23 times before, but legendary NHL.com columnist and historian Dave Stubbs says scoring the big prize in '93 was a tour de force.
They probably had no business winning it at all. They won 10 overtime games. Patrick Roy led the team. It was just astonishing.
A riot that broke out after the Game 5 win left a scar on the city. But just days later, a massive, joyous parade along famed St. Catherine Street drew crowds, as it had so many times before.
It just became a rite of spring. We just went, we just knew where the parade was. We knew a day we were cutting class.
Stubbs points out Jurassic Park was opening in theaters in 1993, and jokes dinosaurs were roaming the earth last time a Canadian team won the cup. But he says a new era in the league made it tougher for Lord Stanley to head north.
The NHL was being realigned the next season, and 2 new teams were joining the National Hockey League. One were the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, and the other were the Florida Panthers.
But this is the actual hat I bought on that parade day. Eventually,
Pitosh held on to parade day memories
signed by the entire team from '93.
and mementos, and over the years added more to his impressive collection in what he and his admirers have dubbed his Habs cave.
What advice would you give to fans in Edmonton?
Oh, well, first of all, I'd say enjoy the ride and celebrate reasonably.
And so while it was decades ago that cup left a mark on this city, a lasting legacy. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
After the break, more than just a game. The tiny Oilers fan with a fighting spirit. It's hard not to get caught up in the Stanley Cup spirit here in Edmonton. And for one family in Saskatchewan, the playoff push has an even greater meaning. Here's CTV's Allison Bamford.
Whether he knows it or not, Mark Lay was born to wear blue and orange.
Boys don't have a choice.
The 4th-generation Oilers fan is one of the newest and quite likely tiniest to jump on the bandwagon. And just like the team, the baby boy faces an uphill battle.
These last few weeks have been stressful and trying to build him up to taking the breathing tube out.
Born prematurely, Mark is approaching 3 months in Saskatoon's NICU and can't breathe on his own.
Quite a challenge to be able to give enough oxygen and to be able to ventilate these little babies.
A long journey for his family made a little easier with playoff hockey.
Anxieties have always been high since this situation, so this is a very nice distraction.
Mark doesn't quite fit into his own jersey just yet, but thanks to his team of nurses, he has his own Oilers cheering section for the rest of playoffs.
I mentioned to one of my primary nurses that my husband's a pretty big Oilers fan, and I came in the next day and decorations everywhere.
Along with his first Stanley Cup Final, Mark is working towards his own major milestones. Doctors are hopeful they can soon remove his breathing tube.
I thought that the two can come together, and I'm sure that we are going to have 2 positives here.
It would be a huge win in Mark's off-ice battle that hopefully aligns with the start of an Oilers comeback. Allison Bamford, CTV News, Regina.
We are all cheering for Mark and his Oilers. That's a snapshot of this Thursday from Edmonton. For all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching and good night.
CTV National News, Canada's #1 newscast.
Good evening, everyone. We begin tonight with
Canada's top stories.
that patch over there with
actually help the community.
We have exclusive details tonight.
Canada's #1 newscast.
Entire neighborhood.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina, weeknights at 11. Canada's #1 newscast for excellence in journalism.
We begin tonight with breaking news.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina, winner of the Canadian Screen Award for Best National Newscast. Watch weeknights at 11.